I can't believe I'm getting this many bites at this time of year. It's mental. Even when it's this cold and fishing for Ide, you've got to be aggressive, you've got to keep putting bait in. I can't believe how well this rig works. You just get so many more bites when fishing with it. If you want to be winning silverfish matches this time of year, this is the fish to target and this is how to do it. With the stamp of these fish how they are, I can see why you can catch such big weights of them. Well, that's the first challenge of the year failed. Already we're off to a good start then. So you're joining me today at the absolute stunning Redhill fishery. Now, I like to think I've fished most of the really good commercial venues in my time and over the last few years, but for me Redhill is definitely one of the best. It's probably this lake has got more fish in it than any other lake that I've ever fished. So it's gone a little bit colder, so I couldn't think of anywhere better to bring cameraman Ben today. Plus we're having a cheeky little practice for a Fish South Silvers qualifier I've got here on Saturday. So we're basically killing two birds with one stone. Hopefully I can give you some great tips on what I've learned in the past for fishing for Ide and skimmers in the winter months. Plus, hopefully I can learn a bit for Saturday. But like I said, this is one of the best venues I've ever been to. We're sat on Peg 8 on Penny's Lake. The main fish that we're going to be fishing for today is Ide and skimmers. I feel like to win the match on Saturday, the main species of fish you're going to have to catch is Ide. But what I'm going to do today, as I go through my practice session, hopefully I can give you some great little tips and tricks for getting the most out of your peg when you're fishing for Ide. And make sure you watch until the end, because the last tip's definitely going to be the most beneficial for your fishing. Right, so like I mentioned in the intro, the fishing here on Penny's Lake is absolutely fantastic. Even though it's gone a little bit colder, I still think you're going to need 30 to 40 pounds to win the match on Saturday. So I'm going to be quite aggressive and be quite positive. I'm just going to feed two lines. I'm going to feed one at about 11 metres in 6 foot of water, and then I'm going to feed my main line being at 14 metres, where I'm going to loose feed my maggots. Now, realistically, to win the match, what I think is probably going to happen, someone will go in on this long pole with maggots and catch steady all day. So that's going to be the main approach. But I am going to put that 11.5 metre line in, where I'm going to put a little bit of wet Sonyu Baits crushed expander with an odd dead maggot and an odd little bit of worm. I feel like in this lake there's lots of tench, so that line can be good, but realistically, to win on Saturday, which is the main purpose of coming, because a qualifier you've got to win to qualify, will be to fish this long pole with maggots. So that's what I'm going to talk you through, those two lines. Nice and simple. I'll run you through the rigs and how I'm going to introduce my bait. But yeah, keeping it simple for these type of fish, these Ide. Fishing one, maybe a second line really is important. So the second tip I got for you is bait choice. Now for me, in the colder months and sometimes in the warmer months, the very, very best bait for these Ide is without a doubt maggots. Every single place I've ever been to, when you're fishing for Ide and the odd skimmer, just fishing with maggots, red maggots or white maggots. For some reason, I don't know why exactly, when you come to like places like Redhill, red maggots are good, but then when I fished at Springvale and a couple of the northern venues, white maggots seem good. I think it's just a trend, but for me, without a doubt, the number one bait for fishing for Ide and an odd skimmer in the colder months is maggots. So the process I'm going through at the moment, to start off with, I'm putting double red maggot on the hook. I'm fishing on the bottom at the moment. I'm going out, flicking my rig off to the side. Basically what you want to do on with these Ide is give yourself the best chance of getting a bite on the drop. they do really seem to come off the bottom when they feed. So I flick my rig out to the side. It's about 8 foot deep here, so the total length of the rig's about 10 foot. So it will take a little while to sink. And then I'm waiting, as that float is settling and the rig's sinking, I'm filling my catapult up once, loose feed my maggots, and then I'm going to do it again. I want quite a few maggots in my peg, but I don't want to fill my pouch up and just feed once, because if it does go wrong with your aiming, like the wind gets up and it goes wrong, there's a lot of maggots that aren't landed in the right place. By feeding twice, I feel like you can put half the amount in the pouch and give yourself a better chance of them going in accurately. So they went in lovely. That wind just picked up on that second feed. And now what I'm going to do, that's 8 foot deep there, and the maggots take 8 seconds a foot to sink. So you're going to be looking at about a minute before they get to the bottom. So there's loads of time now, whilst those maggots are sinking, that if you don't get a bite whilst your rig's settled, you can lift your rig back out and you can almost put your hook bait in amongst the sinking maggots and give yourself a better chance of getting a bite. I feel like though with this type of fishing, the bites when you get them are fairly quick after you lay your rig in, and you're probably catching the fish that are eating the bait from the feed before, but because of the length of time that the maggots take to sink. So I'm going to talk you through the basics of this rig, and at the end of the video I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about this rig that's really going to give you an edge. Now, one of the most important components of this rig for me, from when you're doing this style of fishing, i.e. when you're using maggots, casters or worms on the hook, is actually using this hook. It's the Matrix X4. I'm using a size 16 today, but I absolutely love these hooks for this style of fishing when using natural baits. Today I'm using double maggots, so a size 16 is absolutely perfect. Plus the fish are a really decent stamp, so I'm going to need that size 16 today. But I have been doing a lot of fishing on venues where the fishing isn't such big weights and the fish aren't quite as big, so the size 18 has been absolutely brilliant as well. When you're using natural baits, a size 16 or a size 18 Matrix X4 hook is absolutely brilliant. I can't stress how good these hooks are. The line, Matrix Soft Steel 010. Again, we're fishing for a really decent weight today, so I don't see the point in fishing going lower than 010. I just need the durability when I'm netting the fish, swinging the fish. The main line itself is 014 soft steel. I really like soft steel for all of my winter fishing. It's just really supple, grippy, lovely line to use. Now the shotting pattern itself is my strung out bulk. The measurements I use is 4-inch, 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, 1-inch, and then I've got a couple of little number 11 trimmers just above the top number 9 shot. So this float takes 6 number 9s just in that lovely little strung out bulk. The float is a 0.4 Matrix Finesse Slim Carbon. Now I do use F1 Slims normally, which has got the 1.5mm bristle, but today we're fishing in like 8 foot of water, so I wanted a slightly longer float with a little bit more stability in the stem. F1 Slims are quite short, which is brilliant when I'm fishing for F1s in shallower water, but fishing for Ide and Skimmers and on venues like this where it's like 8 foot, that float is absolutely incredible. Slightly longer carbon stem, but with it being a Finesse Slim Carbon, you still got that 1.5mm bristle, which is really important. I mean, it's really cold today, so the bites have been little dinks and you see everything. If I was using like a 1.8 hollow today, I'm sure it would just be a little bit too aggressive and you wouldn't see enough. So the length of line between the float and the pole tip is 2 foot. When you're fishing in 8 foot of water at 14.5 meters, you don't want a tiny little line. You want to give yourself plenty of play. 2 back shot, I've got 2 number 8 cubes there, just spread out. Little Dacron connector, Matrix 6 to 8 slick elastic. Just a really nice setup. I'm using a 2.5 meter top kit as well because of the depth. Don't really want to use a 2 meter top kit when I'm fishing 8 foot of water. But just a really nice, balanced, little strung out rig, and it's working absolutely brilliant. Right, so we've got to about the 2 hour mark now, and I was fishing on the bottom, but literally every single time I dropped my rig in, I was getting a bite on the drop. So I did set up a shallow rig at the start of the day, and I've literally just picked it up. I set the float to 3 foot with a 2 foot line, so I've got a bit of allowance to move the depth, and it's absolutely solid, to be honest. I've dropped my rig in, and literally first chuck I went out, and it pulled, and I had an eye pulled my elastic out, and I'm virtually getting a bite every single chuck now fishing shallow. And it's incredible, really, for the time of year to think I'm catching 3 foot deep. Look at that. That is unreal. I think that one was even shallower than 3 foot. I flicked my rig in then, and literally it wasn't even settled, and I've caught that one. So, just another tip for you, no matter how cold it's gone, make sure when you're fishing for these Ide, you set up a shallow rig, because at any circumstance, if you draw the right peg, you can just pop it on and away you go. And realistically, if you start catching these sort of stamp of fish shallow, you're in for a brilliant day or a match win. So we are about 3 hours in, and I can noticeably feel that the air temperatures rose a bit, and straight away, as soon as I felt that, we've started catching shallow. I've had a bite of chuck virtually since I've gone on it, and it's just unbelievable. Right, we're in January now, and the air temperature and the water temperature is very low, but it just shows how these fish feed. They're so aggressive when they feed. I think they are quite a predatory fish, and when they come into your peg after the maggots, they do come up, and it just shows you that even in whatever conditions and weather and whatever the water temperature is, always set a shallow rig up, because you just never know. If you draw the right peg and start loose feeding your maggots, and you start missing bites, or you start getting lots of bites on the drop, just having a shallow rig set up is crucial, because you could just do exactly what I've done today. Just literally pick it up, drop it in, and I've had a bite of chuck since. And I know we're in a pleasure fishing situation. I'm sat on one of the best pegs on the lake, and I'm the only one here today, but I mean, a lot of the matches here recently, the silverfish weights have been Ide, and they've been big weights. So even if, like today, you would come in, you would catch for 4 to 5 hours shallow, but even on match conditions, if you just come and caught for 1 hour, it's worth doing this today just to get that 1 hour. The 4 hours you might be fishing on the bottom, but I don't know, with an hour or 90 minutes to go, if they pop up, just having that shallow rig set up ready to go, it's just so simple. All I've done is I've set my float to 3 foot, and I've measured 2 foot of line between my float and my pole tip, and that seems really good. I've got plenty of line between my pole tip and my float, so I'm not jerking my float. It's nice and controlled. Look at that, see? That is unbelievable. I can't believe how good it is. I thought it was going to be a bit of a struggle today with how cold it has been like the last week, but this place never fails to amaze me there. It's incredible. We're so lucky to have this in this part of the country and so close to home. But these fish are really, really nice fish. The stamp shallow as well seems to be a touch bigger. I mean, if you caught like this all day, you're talking 50, 60 pound. Don't think it'll be quite like this tomorrow, but it's still worth doing and still worth having it up your sleeve. But they are great fish in the winter, these Ide, because they seem to feed when a lot of other fish don't. We have hooked a few skimmers and a few roach today, but I've not hooked an F1, I've not hooked a carp, nothing. So it just shows you that having these Ide in the lake really are good. Just literally feeding before I go out, get to the point where my bait's landed, flick my rig over, wait for it to settle, try and get one before you pick your catapult up. No bites that time. But even if you don't get one on the first flick over, just lift your rig out, try it again, and start feeding and start fishing. And it's so efficient fishing with this length of rig. Like when you're fishing at like 8 foot and stuff like that, it's not as quick, but when you're fishing like this, you can easily miss a bite, flick your rig over, and away you go. Oh, it's a lovely roach, that. Just mentioned roach as well. But even those are good quality fish. Look at that, beautiful fish. Wouldn't mind one of them every chuck tomorrow. So basically, after 90 minutes of fishing, the fish have popped up and I've caught one virtually every chuck shallow, or I've had a bite every chuck shallow. So I'll just talk you through the very basics of the rig. The actual hook and line and everything's exactly the same as the bottom rig. Size 16 X4, 5 inches of 010 soft steel, 014 soft steel main line. The biggest difference is obviously the length of the rig, because now we're fishing shallow, and the float I'm using. So the shotting pattern is 4 number 10s, 5-inch gaps, and we've got a 0.2 F1 Matrix Slim. I said when I was talking about the other rig, when I was fishing in shallower water, I like an F1 Slim because they're a bit of a shorter float, and that's exactly what we're doing. 0.2 takes 4 number 10s, which is absolutely perfect. I don't like using a float too light for this shallow fishing, because what I find with it, when it's really, really light, you do tend to catch quite a few more really small fish. That slightly heavier float, like the 0.2, rather than the 0.15, seems good to me. 4 number 10s is absolutely spot on. I've set the float at 3 foot, and then I've got a 2 foot line between my float and my pole tip. Not using back shot at the moment for shallow, because it's tend to be in dead flat calm, and I don't want to get any false indications from my back shot when I'm loose feeding and fishing quickly. Elastic exactly the same again, 6 to 8 slick, little Dacron connector, 2.5 metre top kit. Can't really get much more of a simple rig than that. 0.2 Matrix F1 Slim, 1.5mm bristle, 4 number 10 strung out, float at 3 foot, 2 foot of line. Away you go. It's worked really, really nice. So it's all going a little bit too much to plan at the moment. I've basically had a bite of chuck since I sat down. So cameraman Ben has set me a challenge that I think is going to be very difficult to do, considering we're in January and I'm fishing at 14 metres, and that is 10 eyed in 10 minutes. I think that's pushing it a bit, really. An eyed a minute in January at 14 metres is going to be tricky, but it's called a challenge for a reason. So I'm going to fish now for 10 minutes and see how many I can catch. I think 5 more realistic, but he said 10, so here we go. Set timer. Yeah. It's got to be right, mate. Go. Right, let's go. Oh, lovely. First bite. I hit. Oh no, he's come off. No, first fish. I was rushing, wasn't I? This isn't the summer. I haven't got a size 16 X6 on, so forgot about that. It's not a great start, but oh yes, at least I got one there. Right, slow down. Slow down, Callum. Right, that's one.
One in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. That didn't mind, I did lose one.
If you'd had that first one, you'd be on...
Yeah, I'd be on course for it, wouldn't I? So let's try and make it up. Oh yes. Slow down. Oh, I've hooked a big one. I wanted them to all be small. They come in easy then. Oh, and it's a skimmer. Oh, that's got to be a bonus fish for hooking a big skimmer, surely, hasn't it?
You get 2 for that.
Yes. So that's 3. Nah, no good mush. It's I missed 2 bites in a row then. Yes. Only a, oh no. Only a little one, but you come off. I know, I'm done now, aren't I? I like the first couple, lush, and then this chuck, the wing got up a touch and my bait didn't quite go in as accurate. And I've just basically missed every bite now. Just shows you got how important it is your accuracy of your bait. Because if it's accurate, then they're competing for your hook bait, so you don't miss bites, but... Oh no, I'm having a meltdown here, aren't I? Pressure's got to me. It's because I'm rushing, that's all it is. Yeah, 10 in 10 minutes, mate was pushing it, wasn't it? There we go, that was perfect. Everyone I've hooked has been massive as well, just wanted a little one. Oh, look at the size of them. Right, what have I got to get? One more?
And 2, 21, 19, 18.
Oh no, I missed it.
Five,
Oh.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, that was appalling, wasn't it? That was probably one of the worst 10 minutes of my fishing career, that. Lost 2, missed about 100 bites. Well, that's the first challenge of the year failed. Already we're off to a good start then.
Bring on the rest.
Yeah, new year, new me and all that. So this is my final and probably the most important tip for the day, and the reason why you've watched to the end of the video. Now, the way I fed today, the way I fished today, and the way that I'd like to feed, for me, the most important thing about it all is that you use really, really light finesse floats. I think the fish, because they're quite aggressive when they feed, they naturally want to come up. And if I was to come here today in that period when I was fishing on the bottom and use like real heavy floats, like traditional floats, like 8 foot of water, sometimes you could even use like a 0.8 float with a bulker shot, you just wouldn't get many bites at all. Using a 0.4 and 8 foot today has been unbelievably good. You literally flick the rig out, and at times it even looks like it's just going to take too long to settle, and then all of a sudden starts settling, and then you get one. It's so important that when you're loose feeding maggots and you're fishing for Ide, that you use really tiny little floats and all strung out shot, and I can guarantee you'll get loads more bites. Well, that has been one of the most enjoyable days fishing I've had in a long time. It's just so nice to come out this time of year, and I really do enjoy fishing at this time of year. I've had loads of bites, feeding loads of bait, catching these big Ide, an odd big skimmer. It's just been an incredible day. Not hardly a breath of wind. It's fairly warm now. The air temperatures rose quite a bit through the day. It's just been a brilliant day. I really do hope it goes through like this for me tomorrow, and I just go out on the better pegs down this end of the lake, catch an Ide chuck and win. Fingers crossed that will happen. It's possible that it won't. I could draw down the other end of the lake, but coming today, fishing like this really has put a lot of confidence in me. If I draw up the good end and fish like this, I'm sure I'll have a really good day. But I hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as I have fishing today. It's been incredible. I'm going to fish my match tomorrow and I'll let you know how I get on.